Hello guys, my name is Ina and today we are going to discuss with you, I think, a very interesting, very useful topic, reported questions. Sometimes we can also say indirect questions. For those who want to know how to report the questions or how to want to use indirect questions, this will be quite useful webinar. Actually, to report the questions, you need to follow only a few rules. But unfortunately, except these few rules, you need to know all the rules how to report statements in reported speech. And for that, I'm going to show you a PowerPoint presentation just to remind you these rules, how to make changes when we report somebody's words. If our first part is in past tense, for example, she asked or she requested, she wanted to know. So our first part is in past, and that means that we need to follow some particular rules for reporting these questions or statements. So let's look at the PowerPoint presentation. I will tell you, or I will remind you, the rules about reported speech. And after that, I will tell you the rules. So just a sec. Here are the rules about reported speech. You can see here why we use them, but, well, I guess it's clear. So we use direct speech is when we say exactly what somebody said. For example, she said today's lesson is on presentations, or today's lesson is on presentation. She said. This is direct speech when we don't change or we don't use any reported speech rules. And for that, we need to use quotation marks. You can see them over here for those who don't know what means quotation marks. Indirect speech in this case, or sometimes we can also call it reported speech, we don't use quotation marks, and we even don't need to retell word by word. Well, of course, it would be great, but unfortunately, not everybody has such a perfect memory. So usually we just report somebody's words in general, what we remember or how we perceive the information. And in this case, we need to follow some rules. Usually, we need to follow the rule of changing tenses. For example, he said he was going to the cinema, and actually the original sentence was he is going to the cinema. Here are some rules, and I suggest you a short practice for these rules. You can see here in the first table, this is direct speech, and we need to change the sentences into indirect speech. So she said it is cold, and we change present simple into past simple. And you can see the answer. She said it was cold. Present continuous, we change into past continuous. I'm teaching, she said she was teaching. Present perfect simple into present past perfect simple. I have been on the web, or she said she had been on the web. And the last one, present tense, we change into past tense. So as you can see, all present tenses, we need just to make step back and they will become past tenses. What we do with past forms? When we have past simple, the tense which is before past simple is past perfect, as you know. So I taught online yesterday. She said she had taught online the day before. About time phrases, we will talk a little bit later. I mean, yesterday is the day before. Past continuous becomes past perfect continuous. I was teaching. She said she had been teaching. And past perfect and past perfect continuous, these are the last tenses in the past, and we have no step backs. So when we have this tense, we just keep it as it is, but we change pronouns and time phrases and place phrases. She said the lesson had already started, or the lesson had already started. And past perfect continuous, I had already been teaching. So she said she had already been teaching. No changes. except tenses, sometimes in our sentences we use modal verbs. I included also here will, because will is used for future forms, and it doesn't matter what kind of future tense you have, you just change will into would, which is quite easy. So the first one, she said, sorry, I'll teach. So she said she would teach. Can must be changed into could. She said she could teach. Must we change into must or had to? Usually had to. She said she had to have a computer. And the last one, may we change into might. She said, may I open a new browser? So she asked if she might open a new browser. This is the example of the question, and as I promised you, at the end of the presentation, I will tell you how to make changes in reporting questions. Please pay attention that there is no change when we use such modal verbs as could, would, should, might, or ought to. Also, we have expressions of time and place changes, and you can see them just over here. Look at the table. Actually, you need to remember only a few phrases. This must be that. It doesn't matter what you use tonight, this week. Future phrases we use we need to change into the following or after, like tomorrow is the following day or the day after. Now must be changed into then. Here must be changed into there. And past phrases we change into the previous day or the something before, like yesterday, the previous day or the day before. Last Saturday, the previous Saturday, Saturday before. 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks previously, 2 weeks before. You can just choose only one, for example, after and before, and follow it. Also, we have some rules about changing conditionals. If we have conditional sentences, we need to change zero and first conditional. You can see here examples. In zero conditional, we use present simple, so when we report it, we use past simple. In first conditional, we use present simple and will. Sorry, when we report it, we use in if part past simple and in the main part would, so it becomes actually second conditional. Second and third conditionals don't have any changes. Also, please keep in mind that when we report somebody's words, we change pronouns. I teach English, so she said she teaches English online. I highlighted the wrong she, it must be this one, sorry. That's it. Now let's talk about our reported questions. Sorry. I'm back. Okay. So let's write our topic, reported questions. It's better if you use some copybooks. Reported questions. One more time, you have to remember about all the rules about time changes, tense changes, about changes of pronouns, of phrases, conditional modals. And if you remember all these rules, reporting questions is extremely easy. Okay. First of all, what you need to know that we have with you two different types of questions, and it depends on the question, on the type of the question, we need to follow different rules of reporting them. The first type of the question will be yes/no question. Yes/no question, like that. How to identify the type of the question? Very easily. If you have a question which requires answer yes or no, that's the yes or no question. For example, do you want to come with me? Do you want to come with me? This is our question. So if your boyfriend asks you, do you want to come with me? You can say, yes, I do. If a stranger, weird looking guy asks you, you better say, no, I don't. So such question requires yes or no answer. And if we identify that this is yes or no question, so how to report such type of question? We say, she asked, or she wanted to know. She asked me. Actually must be he, but okay. She asked me. After that, we need to use such word as if, or it can be whether. Quite common, most students use if, and I also read in one article recently that whether usually used when we have kind of alternatives. For example, do you want to come with me or with him? So she asked me whether I want to come with him or with another guy. But actually you can use both of them. And after that, we report the question. So we use this one. There is one thing that you need to keep in mind, that it's not a question anymore. This is the question. But when we report it, we just retell this question. So she asked me if or whether I wanted. We have here past simple because here we have present simple, as you can see. So we change it. If I wanted to come, in this case, with her. So to report yes, no question is very easy. You just make this question into a statement because you report it. You don't ask this question anymore. You just report it. So she asked me if I wanted to come with her. Quite often students have troubles, especially with do and does and other auxiliary verbs. They don't know what to do with them. So I will write you a few more short, very short examples that you understand how to do it. For example, does she like ice cream? Does she like dogs? Dogs shorter than ice cream. This is a question. When we report it, we say he asked if she liked, past simple, dogs. Again, you can see here we have question mark in the direct question. When we report the question, we don't use question mark because it's not necessary. And about did he want to jump? Yesterday, doesn't matter. Did he want to jump? So this is our question, direct question. Indirect question. I asked if he. This is past simple. We change past simple into past perfect. If he had wanted to jump. Again, no question mark because we don't ask this question anymore. We just report it. With other tenses, it's even easier. One more time, I remind you need to remember the structure of the tenses. You must know the tenses. So you must know how to create past perfect. If we have, for example, past simple, it must be past perfect. You must know how to change future simple. We change will into would, and so on and so forth. So this was yes, no question. We have with you one more type of question. Sorry, just a sec. I have one more paper to write for you. I suppose. Yes. Sorry. So we have here again reported questions. We have already discussed with you yes, no question, but we don't always ask only yes, no questions. Sometimes we ask other type of question, and quite usually this is WH question or special question. Why it's WH? Because quite often we begin the question with such words as when, where, who, why. Also possible to use other words, not only with WH. It can be like how long, and so on. So don't think only about WH, but other question words are also used. These are special questions. Let's look at the example. Where did you go last weekend? Where did you go last weekend? This is our direct question. Where did you go last weekend? How to report it? It's even easier than yes, no question because you don't need any if or whether, you just report it. So I asked somebody, I asked her, and after that we say where. Again, this is not a question anymore, so we don't need to use auxiliary verb before our subject. We just use a usual word order in statements. Where, then, well, if you, maybe he. Past simple, this is the tense that is used in the original sentence. We need to change into past perfect. I asked where he had gone. And last weekend, this is our time phrase, which we need to change. The weekend, weekend before. No question mark, it's not a question anymore. Where did you go last weekend? I asked where he had gone, past perfect, the weekend before. And one more example. Why are you studying English? Why are you studying English? This is our question. Let's think how to report it. This is our present continuous, right? So when we report present continuous, we change it into past continuous. The question, she asked why, and then we can say, for example, they, why they were studying English. Oh, it's English. One more time. The main point is that in our direct questions, we use auxiliary verbs, for example, did or are before our subject. When we report these questions, we don't need to use auxiliary verbs anymore. We just change the tense. If it is past simple, it becomes past perfect. And there is no auxiliary verb before our subject, as you can see, it's empty. So this is the word order of the statement of the positive sentence. The same second example, present continuous. Are is before our subject because it's direct question. This is the word order in questions. And when we report these questions, we don't use the question word order anymore. So she asked why, we keep our question word. They were studying English. All right. Let's look at some sentences. Let's practice a little bit with you. You will see questions. I will help you to identify these questions and to think how to report them. I'll just make a sip. These are just examples, then you will have a mix. I just wanted you to remind one more time the difference. So the first one, yes, no questions. We have 3 examples, and these 3 examples require the answers yes or no. The first one is in present perfect. When we report it, she asked if I had finished. It becomes past perfect, my exams. The next is in past simple. Did you invite Judy and Pat? He asked me whether I had invited Judy and Pat. Past simple, past perfect. And the last one, present simple. Does your brother live in London? She asked if my brother or somebody's brother lived in London. So these are yes/no questions. We use if or whether. You can see over here them. I'm sorry. Just want you to show over here if, whether, and if. You can choose whatever you want. Use only one, but just use it. The next one, WH questions. Also, we got here 3 examples. Why didn't the police report the crime last month? The judge asked. We have here why. This is question word, and we don't need any whether or if. So he asked me why the police hadn't reported, because past simple changed into past perfect. Also pay attention that last month becomes the month before. Why won't you let me in? He shouted. This is our future simple. So he asked me why I wouldn't. So our auxiliary verb takes its usual regular place after the subject. And the last one, what time does the plane arrive? We asked what time the plane arrived. Let's look at our examples. You have to identify the question and to think how to report it. I will give you a few minutes, and after that we will check. So let's look at our first sentence. First sentence, this is the question, WH question. How to report it? He asked me where I thought we should advertise. Think, we change present simple into past simple. Thought and should, this is a modal verb which doesn't change in reported statements or questions. The next one, are you going to audition for the play tomorrow? This is our yes/no question. So Emma asked if or whether. Please don't use together both of them, because some students, I don't know why they use both. No, you use either if or whether, but not together. I just use the slash that it's optional. So Emma asked me if I was going to audition for the play the following day. On my time, we change tomorrow into the following day. Number 3, this is WH question, despite the fact that it begins with how, but it's a special question with question word how. So she often asked me how Laura was getting on, how she was like, was she all right or not? And number 4, this is our past simple WH question, and we change it into past perfect, as you can see. He asked why Matthew had looked so embarrassed when he had seen Carol the day before. A few more sentences. I'll give you a few, maybe 1 minute, just to think. If you don't want to see the answers, just make the pause without answers. Take your time, do the sentences, and after that, check. So the sentence number 5, we use here modal verb must as a type of yes/no question, because this is yes/no question and we use at the beginning auxiliary verb must. When we report it, as I said, must be changed into had to. So he asked if we had to stay there all evening. Number 6, WH question. She wondered why they were doing what they were doing about the publicity for the event. So this is our present continuous, we change into past continuous, and our auxiliary verb are before the subject is not used anymore. We use word order of the statement. Also, I'd like you to pay attention that we don't always use only the word asked. It's possible to use wondered, wanted to know, required maybe, and others. Number 7, yes, no question. He asked me whether I would send him the report when it was finished. This is kind of first conditional, and we change will into would and present simple into past simple. Number 8 question, this is WH question in present perfect. She asked me what I had done with the student record. Last, I guess, yes, last 12, last sentences. Let's look at the answers and at the questions themselves. The first one is yes, no. So she asked us whether we could keep our voices down a bit. We have here could, which we change into could. And do you think? You don't need to use, because as I said before, you don't need to report like word by word. These are just examples, and it's very easy to report because you see them. But usually when we report somebody's words, we don't see them. We just remember them. Number 10, where did you buy this hat? He wanted to know where I bought that hat. So actually must be where I had bought that hat. But all right, okay, this is a mistake. We have here past simple and it must be changed into past perfect. Number 11, have you been eating properly? The doctor asked me if I had been eating. Past present perfect into past perfect. Again, no auxiliary verb before the subject. And the last one is yes, no question in past continuous. Mike asked me if I had still been teaching. This is past perfect continuous, becomes music when I had met Oliver. I guess that's it. Okay. So guys, I told you how to report questions. Let's sum up our information. First of all, you have to remember about the type of the question. You have to identify whether this is if no or, yes, no question or a WH question, special question or general question. After that, you have to follow all our rules when we report the words. Our tense changes, pronoun changes, time and place changes. If these are modals or conditionals, we also have to keep that in mind. But actually, I think it's quite easy. You just do it again. At the end of the day, think who asked you what questions or what kind of questions you asked people, and think how to report them in English. You can try to write them down, or you can just think while you're brushing your teeth, or I don't know, dreaming in that already. Thank you very much for your time. Have a nice day.